I'd like to welcome you to Connecticut's Old State House. My name is Sally Whipple. I'm the executive director here, and we are very pleased and proud to have this event here today. I feel personally happy to have the Isle of Safety commemorated here near the Old State House in State House Square, and to have it on the verge of restoration at the Connecticut Trolley Museum. I remember going to the Isle of Safety when I was a kid with my mom and my brothers and sisters when we'd come shopping downtown, and it was always a place that was kind of whimsical and different looking, and I think I could never quite figure out exactly what it was. But I always loved the fact that it stood right next to the Old State House, and the Old State House was always a favorite building for me. And I think the Old State House and the Isle of Safety had a lot in common in many ways. Both were threatened with destruction over time, and both have been saved, though in different ways. The Old State House still stands. It's been restored. The Isle of Safety was wonderfully rescued and brought to the Connecticut Trolley Museum, and it is going to be improved and rescued yet again. And what I love about this project, it isn't just restoring the Isle of Safety in East Windsor. It is also bringing its memory back to the plaza here, back to the street, back to Hartford. And I think when you work in historic preservation, as Mary Falvey knows from HPA, you can get things back to kind of the way they were, but it's never going to be exactly what it was. So you come into the Old State House, and it is not exactly what it was like at any given point in time. There have been many, many changes over time. But what lives on is the spirit. And the beauty of historic buildings, whether they're restored inside, existing on the street, or whatever, is that they remind us of the past, and they encourage us to use our imaginations to imagine the past. And imagining the past is a very healthy thing to do, especially when you've got some facts thrown in. It helps you give a picture of how people lived, and it helps you better understand how you live today. And I think that this outline and the interpretive sign that are now at State House Square, so we've seen lots of people over the last few days stopping to look at them and imagine the past. And that's a wonderful thing. I think it gives a sense of connection to each other, to the past, to the community. I think it's a really healthy thing for Hartford and a really healthy thing for the Old State House, which makes me very happy. So I would like to welcome you as part of this event to bring this, this beautiful memory back to Hartford, and hopefully we'll be building on it with many more memories in the future. And I would really like to thank the Connecticut Trolley Museum and so many others who will be thanked today for making this happen. And thank you for being here. I'd now like to introduce Mike Speciale from the Connecticut Trolley Museum, who has really been leading the development of this project. Mike?
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. If I'm not speaking loud enough, tell me.
I can hear you fine.
Okay.
But then again, I'm in the front.
Thank you, Gene. Well, as Yogi Berra and as all of us have said before, this is kind of sort of like deja vu all over again. We gathered here last December to announce the launch of the campaign to restore the Isle of Safety and to commemorate its time in Hartford. We did that maybe the first or second week of December. We had high hopes. I expected the campaign to be over in a week and a half, but it didn't. It's still going on, but we're just about there. So we have accomplished an awful lot in a fairly short period of time. I have had a wonderful time doing this because along the way, I've gotten to work with some wonderful people, my fellow volunteers on the development committee, the volunteers at the Trolley Museum, the vendors and contractors we've worked with. Everybody, when we tell them what the project is, you know, it's just not another commercial job. It's kind of like heartwarming, you know, and brings back a lot of nostalgia. So We set off for the purpose of doing two things. The Isle of Safety has been up at the Connecticut Trolley Museum for a while, and it's the first thing that visitors see when they drive onto the property. And we are going to restore it from its 106-year-old condition to its original condition, which was back in 1913. At the age of 106, it's a little bit worn out. Gene's 106. Take a look at him. See what happened there. So, fortunately, we have all the plans and everything we need to do it right. So, so we're going to do it right. I think what I would like to do here, well, let me just finish saying it was a two-part program. One part is to restore it up at the Trolley Museum, and I think it's just so fantastic that, you know, what was it built for? Well, it was built as a waiting station for trolley car passengers back in 1913. This was sort of Grand Central Station out here, an outdoor Grand Central Station for Hartford. All the trolleys would come in, leave, disperse, and whatnot, and people would step off at the Isle of Safety, board their trolley at the Isle of Safety, and then later, when the trolley era ended, the buses continued to use it for a long time. And what's so great is that it's being used for the original purpose. It's up at the Trolley Museum, and boy, back in 1913, a trolley would pull up to it, you'd get on it. It can be the same thing that we're doing up at the trolley. We've been doing it at the Trolley Museum. Except now, from its shabby condition, because time took its toll, thanks to so many people who helped us in a wide variety of ways, we'll get the thing back into its original condition. So I'm not sure if anybody made it from the Hartford Public Works Department, but we were so lucky because they were able to unearth from their archive the original drawings, so that as we go ahead and we restore the aisle, it's going to fit the original plan. It's going to be a really good restoration. I'm a really good extemporaneous speaker, but now I've got notes. So I can't figure out, should I look at the notes or should I look at you guys? I think I'll look at you guys. We'll do that. First, I would like to ask the team, my team on the development committee, the Isle of Safety Restoration team, to kind of come up here, and I'll introduce them, and they'll each say a few things about the role that they played. So that's Gina Maria Alamberti, who's the Trolley Museum manager. It's Bob Rosenberg, who's the project coordinator, and it's Dulcie Giadone, who is our grants administrator. So, Bob's wife is here, and she will attest to the fact that Bob disappeared a number of months ago, and she hasn't seen much of him since. So Bob took on this project. He did all the research. He got the plans. He found the vendors, managed the contracts and all that. So we're about to start work on that pretty soon. And Bob was a great help to me when I worked at the New England Air Museum. Bob oversaw many of our projects. When Bob's involved, you know it'll be done right. Dulcie Giadone is the greatest grant writer in the world. I feel funny saying this because some of the granting people are here, and if I say that, it'll make it sound like she tricked them into giving us money, but no. Dulcie always presents a concise, clear, lucid statement as to what we're restoring, or what we're doing, why we need the money, what we're going to do with the money and all that. And Dulcie has captured a lot of the money that has made this project a success. Gina Maria Alamberti is the manager at the Trolley Museum. And Gina is a social media whiz. Well, of course she is. She's a little bit younger than most of us, but she's a social media whiz. Really good at helping with the PR, keeping the records, getting the notifications out, and without her we'd be nowhere. So we are a tight team, and I think we've been very successful. And God knows what we'll think of next when we're done with this project, and something I'm sure will come up. Okay, thank you for coming up. You're all- I will introduce the, some of the directors and officers in the Trolley Museum. Tim Lesniak is chairman. Rob Brogel is president. Larry Bryan is vice president. Anybody else here? I think I got you all. Everybody else is off doing their daily work. A special thank you to Sally Whipple. Sally knows more about the history, I believe, in Greater Hartford and Connecticut than just about anybody else around. And it was Sally who we shared our idea with in the beginning about trying to restore the Isle of Safety. Sally has been supportive. Sally has put us in touch with people, participated in all the meetings. Sally has hosted. She hosted the first kickoff here last December. She's hosting this event. We've met many times since, and Sally has been great because without your moral support and advice and all that, I'm not sure where we'd be. Last but not least, I have to thank Gene Sheehan up here from Sullivan & Lashane. In spite of the fact that Gene officially retired, he has helped us all the way, being the communication manager for this project. We expect some TV coverage later when we go outside to lay some of the bricks in place. So, Gene, thank you for that. And Sally, thank you. I want to recognize some of the contractors, the vendors on this project. Peary Associates Architects, thank you. Anchor Engineering, thank you. Steve Perez from Wingsight Displays is in the back there. Steve helped with a lot of the signage and all that. I want to recognize Knox, the former director, Ron Pitts, who did make a commitment to us, but then he retired, but the commitment lives on. So Ron retired, but Knox's commitment was to landscape around the Isle of Safety upon its completion, and he has somehow persuaded and convinced his successor, Patrick Doyle, where's Patrick, to carry on with that. So as soon as we finish, we'll let you know, and grab your shovel and come up and we'll see what we can do. But thank you very much for that. All right, so what's the status of the Isle of Safety in East Windsor? We have almost all the money we need to complete the project. We expect to start the project next week. There are two main components to the project. One, take down the terracotta tiles, which are old, worn, chipped, danger of falling down, replace them with new tiles. Here's a sample new tile. And of course, the great story we have to tell you is that the company that made the terracotta tiles back in 1913 is making the same exact terracotta tiles in 2019. So we don't have to worry that it's going to be a look-alike tile. As far as I'm concerned, it's going to be the correct tile. So we're very fortunate for that. And A&R Restoration, which is doing the work, has done a lot of work on historic structures. They've worked with Peary Architects, so we're confident that we're going to do a good job. We expect the Isle of Safety to be, I hate to say this, completed probably by the end of September. Once we're done, we still have to do a few more things. We have to install some vintage style lighting. We have to put some pavers underneath. We're going to do a new walkway. That may be done this year, it may be done next spring. But none of this could have been done without the donors. So you have a list of donors and other material in the folders that we passed out to you. I will say that the gifts ranged from $20,000 from the Beatrice Fox Auerbach Fund at the Hartford Foundation to one little boy who gave $1. So from $20,000 to $1. But there were many other substantial gifts up at the upper end, and a lot of gifts, and the gifts keep coming in. I'm happy to say that last night, Ed Budd, who's the retired executive at Travelers Insurance, contributed another $5,000 to match his earlier $5,000 gift. And that puts us within $13,000 of what we need, more or less, to pay for the project once it's done. So, in your folder, you do, of course, have a payment card and a return envelope. You'll have to spring for the stamp. But we would appreciate any contribution, and I can assure you that your gift will be recognized. All the donors are on our website. They're recognized. And we will have a permanent plaque at the aisle upon its completion to recognize the donors. So who do we have here? One of the biggest contributors that we have here today is State House Square management team. David Jakubowski, thank you, sir, for that. Connecticut Humanities, Dr. Jason Mancini is here. They helped us with the signage. Knox, Sullivan and Lashane, Public Relations we have here. Larry and Dottie Bryan are here. Perry Associates contributed some of their work to us. Sally Whipple, you and your husband contributed. Thank you very much. The Giordoni family, thank you. Jean Sheehan, a personal contribution, thank you. Gina Maria Alamberti is here. Alpha Delta Kappa, which is a educational sorority. Gail managed for that gift. Who have I missed who's an in-kind donor or a donor?
We have a volunteer here, and his wife donated to the museum. Michael Lucy does the carpentry at the museum.
Thank you, thank you. So, if you're on this list, and I know there's a gift pending, when we go outside, the TV's going to be outside. We have two things we did outside. The work got completed on Saturday. And that was to put a sign up there, commemorative sign, recognizing the I'll Stay in Hartford. And right behind it, we did the entire outline. I think I forgot to mention Cropley Garden Center, who put in the outline. They did a good job. And Tom Biddle created all the artwork for the signs. So, Tom, when we go outside and unveil the sign, since you designed it, and Jason Mancini, Connecticut Humanities, paid for it, and since Steve Perez was instrumental in creating the whole thing and getting it from the sign company, you guys are going to uncover the sign when we go outside, and we'll dedicate it. Everybody else, there's loose bricks out there. Do not throw them at anybody. The idea of the loose brick, we have the outline in brick out there of the aisle of safety and its original location, and you each get to place a brick in place. So that's kind of cool. Gene, what time is it?
It's just a little after 10.
Okay, and then the media will be here at about
Well, there's
10:15,
Max will be
10:30?
here at 10:30. They'll probably start arriving at 10:15.
Okay.
Some might be a little late.
All right, so let me see what I've missed and what else I have to say. So you understand the aisle of safety construction up in East Windsor will start next week. Hope to be done. The work in Hartford is finished. I've told you that a payment card, if you have not yet contributed, is in your folder. Please take the folder home with you. But the folder also has quite a bit of background information I think you'll find interesting. So, I think I would like to have David Jakubowski come up. David is a career property management professional. This is about as big as it gets. He manages the whole State House Square complex here. And I forget, one day, he's a busy guy, and one day our committee shows up and here's notes from Adam, and, you know, he said, we want to dig up your property and do some stuff. That's just exactly what he wanted to hear. But after we explained the whole thing, he and his associate, Jesse McIntyre, got really into this. And they really thought it was a very intriguing idea about commemorating the Isle of Safety stay in Hartford. So not only did he work with us and give us permission to install the sign, he gave us permission to do the outline, he made a substantial contribution to pay for the outline. And that's why it's here. So just tell us a little bit about State House Square and all that, and he's good. I haven't told him what to say, but he knows what to say. So I'll move for a minute, and then after that, I think we can mill around for a few minutes, and then David will lead us outside for the bricklaying ceremony. But that'll be we can do that about 10 minutes after you speak. We'll gather everybody, we can take them out. Okay.
Well, thank you for the advance notice that I had to give a little presentation, so I don't have any note cards. Not a problem. No, we were very happy to participate in this very exciting opportunity to commemorate and identify the location of the Isle of Safety. I'm somewhat of a history buff, so when I was approached about this opportunity, I was very excited and quickly got my entire team behind the efforts here to create what we've got out there. So it was a very successful partnership between private enterprise, public entities, for-profit entities, nonprofit entities, and I think it went absolutely flawlessly. The entire team that has been identified did a tremendous job, worked well together, and frankly, I'm looking forward to the next one. So thank you.
Thank you, David.
Okay.
So, I don't know, this is hard work, but can we hang around for about 10 minutes, and then David will go, he'll shout out and lead us outside. All right, so I'd like to welcome everybody to the old State House in State House Square. My name is Mike Speciale. I'm the development director for the Connecticut Trolley Museum. We're here today for a very special purpose. We're going to dedicate 2 permanent exhibits to commemorate Hartford's old historic Isle of Safety. It was located on this very spot from 1913 to 1976. The structure itself is going to be restored starting next week at the Connecticut Trolley Museum in East Windsor. What we have here today we have behind me a permanent plaque that we're going to unveil that talks about the Isle, shows all the vintage photos, and it refers to what's in front of me, and what's in front of me is the actual outline of the Isle of Safety itself. And everybody who contributed to the campaign is going to get to place a brick in place to complete the outline so it will be done. So this will be the first day in Hartford officially that we will recall an iconic structure that meant so much to so many people over the years past. Thank you.
So, do you want Sally to make any comments, or do you want to just...
No, but I've got to ask David to come up and we're going to do 2 things. Jason Mancini. Where's Jason? Come up with Tom Biddle. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to unveil the commemorative plaque. I just want to say that it was Jason Mancini and Connecticut Humanities who paid for the creation of the plaque. Tom did all the design work. Thank you, State House Square, for having us use your facilities to put it here. Okay, boys, rip it off there. See what we got. Okay, there's the sign. Thank you for that, Tom. You did a wonderful job with the design. Give Tom a big round of applause. Now, what you see in front of us is the footprint, the outline for the Isle of Safety. We have a few more bricks to lay in place to complete the outline So I'm going to ask David and Jesse, both manager and associate here at State House Square, to lay in the first brick. Excellent. You did a good job.
All right.
Jason, you have a brick to lay in place?
Okay, I got one right here.
This is Dr. Jason Mancini, who heads up Connecticut Humanities.
Bury the litter.
Well, you have debris in your way, yes. You did a good job.
Thank you.
We still have Ron Pitts and Patrick Doyle here. Ron Pitts and Patrick Doyle. They had to leave. Sullivan and Lashane, Public Relations. Dan Tapper, laying a brick. No, Gene's got his own brick. No, you laying a brick, Dan.
Gene will lay a brick.
Well, Gene, this is his personal brick. Gene, you're a bricklayer. And Dan Tapper from Sullivan and Lashane's going to lay in a brick.
Fine again.
Okay. Larry and Dottie Bryan. They're both volunteers at the Connecticut Trolley Museum. Larry is also the vice president and heads up one of the major departments there on a volunteer basis. Good job. Roy and Nancy Norman. Excellent. Peary Associates Architects, who donated some of their architectural services. Paul Butkus is going to lay in a brick for us. Excellent. Next is Sally Whipple. She and her husband have made a personal donation. Excellent. Okay, Dulcie Giordoni, the Giordoni family made a contribution on behalf of their grandchildren. Her husband Valerio will lay in the brick.
Okay.
Gina Maria Alamberti, lay in a brick. Excellent. Where's the Lucy family? It's your turn. Want to help her? It's heavy, it's heavy, it's heavy. Good job. Alpha Delta Kappa. Gail Rosenberg will lay in a brick.